Hi everyone. How was your Juneteenth, solstice, solar eclipse, new moon weekend? Oh dear. Mine was wonderful. Did some clearing in my home and blessed it. Did some healing work on myself as well as some meditative work. Did some research on some interesting topics. Working more with the stars and with constellations. Yeah, so I'm excited to see where this next eclipse tunnel will spit us out. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull some cards. So the first one we have out is Good Fortune. And I love this one. It always makes me think of like a necklace, like having like a necklace or some type of beautiful, like powerful talisman on hand that attracts a lot of, that holds and attracts a lot of positive, well-intended energy. And I feel like, especially with Mercury being in retrograde right now in Cancer, you know, the solar eclipse taking place in Cancer, like all of that, our sun now being in Cancer, a lot of things having to do with our emotional body, with the feminine, with how we receive things, and speaking and understanding like what we speak is what we receive and how we receive it. And so really taking that into account, and so adorning ourselves in the right thoughts, the right actions, the right words, really communicating fully all of that we wish and hope for our reality to be. You know, so kind of going back and just reassessing some of those things. It's like going into your closet and purging, you know, all of the things that don't represent the life that you want to lead, the energy that you want to have when you walk into a room. And that's what I'm taking away with this Good Fortune card here. So yeah, let's look into the next one. And I love this, like this electric, like yellow, like greenish yellow green that is on this card as well. This also makes me think of plasma, like lightning, even though that's not necessarily the color it shows up as, but before I digress. Next card we have out is Karmic Path. It's Karmic Path. And with this, I feel like some of us are realizing and stepping up to the plate with what our soul has charged us with for this lifetime. And part of that stripping away is getting down to remembering and accessing that knowledge, and having enough faith in it to actually move forth and task ourselves with whatever that is. And you know, part of those adornments that I was talking about and the words, that communication that we use, could also be revealing that to us. Like maybe some of the things that we choose not to say could be leading the way, you know, as far as what type of work we're setting out to do. Whatever actions or responses or energy that right now we are indifferent or resistant toward could be leading us to the actual work we're meant to do. This is something to consider. Talisman. What did I say? And so the more like you're willing to check out and to understand what you're letting go fully, and the ways in which you're shifting, the ways in which you're freeing yourself up and exploring new ways, new methods, new behaviors that are coming up for you, and like really going with them. Like sometimes it's like a diet change. Sometimes it's the way you communicate. Sometimes it's the people that you choose to be around, you know, or not be around. And I feel like this is us really shifting the life that we're creating in order to bring in more of what we require, more of what we have earned in a positive sense. Allowing us to access the things that unlock more doors, of perception and understanding, which opens more doors for opportunity as well. I also really like the top of this kind of looks like a heart, and it has like this other circle on top, which again reminds me of the throat chakra, like I was talking about with this good fortune card. And so it's like also being able to anchor your communication into the heart space, anchoring your throat chakra into the heart space, which then that heart space is also connected to your solar plexus, a balanced solar plexus. So having a good sense of self, knowing what you want, what you don't want, and being able to communicate clearly, communicate correctly. Protection. Okay, because the more that you do this work over time, the more as that there's a natural aura of protection that encloses upon you and those who walk with you. And so you're actually creating that as you do this work, as you work on the kind of just how you communicate your energy. Because I mean, also when it comes to like Mercury being retrograde, being that planet of communication, with it being in Cancer, and having it respond with that emotional self, as well as like the crab, which I think of like an emotional shell, which makes me think of our appearances as well. How we posture ourselves, how we care for ourselves, which ultimately affects how we look and are perceived by others. Not that it matters how people perceive us necessarily, but if it continues to put us in alignment with the words that we speak, the actions we do, if all of our communication is in alignment, the better, positioned we are to carry out whatever duties we have, based off of our soul contract, based off of that agreement that we made when we, reincarnated and showed back up on the earth at this time. And so, yeah, we're gathering all of those things that help amplify that quality of energy that we seek. That is that innate, inherent protection that comes when we're authentically living and participating and creating, and doing so in a clear enough space within ourselves, and honoring all the things that we actually choose to do rather than things than we feel like we are obligated to do, to perform or to act out as. Because if anything, I've had some beautiful, like, honest conversations with people about things that have been going on lately, and turns out like a lot of us feel the same way, but yet it feels unpopular, which is very interesting. And then of course the shadow card comes out. And so I feel like, throughout this process, we are still integrating the shadow. And I think this is a place of not being as afraid or concerned about it. And my whole thing is like, whenever the shadow comes up, it's really looking at the parts of it that are resourceful, the parts of it that are really teaching and speaking the loudest, and offering them space and attention to kind of like allow that energy to dissipate, to get to a manageable point to where it's like, oh, okay, what is resourceful about this type of energy, this aspect of myself, what have you, and how can I integrate it to a point to where I can then put it in my toolkit, so to speak, to where I can utilize it and wear it in a way that enhances my mission and actually supports whatever work that I carry that I'm carrying through. And so I feel like a lot of this is us learning how to support ourselves fully in many different ways and not betraying ourselves anymore throughout any facet of our communication and of our being, and therefore allowing us to have that type of connection, that momentum, that conviction to move forward with whatever our soul is being tasked with. And we have that enduring determination and willpower and discipline to make it happen. Not that I'm saying we're gonna show up and be some type of like spiritual soldiers, but there's a spiritual like warrior, like female warrior spirit that kind of comes about that is very it's very interesting. It's very sensual and fierce and agile, like very not so rigid and regulated, regimented. This is something else. So if a lot of you feel like perhaps you've been in that more like compartmentalized, boxy, angular, masculine type of warrior disciplined spirit, or perhaps have lacked discipline completely, you may really enjoy some of this energy that I'm feeling emerging for us collectively. And so have fun with it and experiment with it, but also, keep track of the what you're gaining, like the parts of you that you're reactivating or bringing back onto line, rebooting. There we go. Next card out is Lucky. A little horseshoe here. Also, I've been thinking about peaches. So for some reason, like this little part, it's like, I'd love a good peach right now. But with the horseshoe, it's further healing. It's healing kind of the container. Horseshoes, go onto the feet of horses and are nailed in order to help them walk across different types of terrain without getting stuff in their hooves as much. It's like, it's protection in itself. Granted, it's a little bit painful at first. And so I feel like this is a message for those who feel like perhaps the past couple weeks or week or two, sorry, I have a sleepy in my eye, just keeping it real on this video. Some people feel like perhaps they haven't been able to go as far, as fast, or in quite the same ways that they're used to. And I mean, this has been a larger theme since like pre-COVID. A lot of people, I think, were gaining momentum. And then I felt like they were getting a little bit of wind of that momentum, here in May. And now it's just, it kind of like stood still. And that's because, anything that we've created from a past life or from, a different period of our life with a different energy, with less soul focus, less spiritually centered life. As we make these shifts, those things that were created with that old energy that we were utilizing tend to fall away. And so it puts us in a place where we feel like we have less than, we feel perhaps that we've done something wrong. Not the case whatsoever. It's just that readjustment period, the energy shifting. And so our material things also must shift with it. So anything that was of the old has to move out and clear out and create space as well. And that's why non-attachment is so important. But here with this Lucky thing, it has less to do about really having luck, more so than just being able to endure and make it down the road. Just like continue to walk with me down this road and all will be fine and provided for. And none of you haven't done anything wrong. It's just some things needed to fall away. We had to clear some stuff. We had to do a little detox. We had to kind of shake some stuff off, in order to really get to that beautiful core essential, that essence, that essential energy that you and I all of us carry. And so for those of us that have been doing that work and really, feeling it, whether it's on a physical, mental, emotional level, it's been happening. For me, it was very physical, and then in my dream time space, it was very emotional. And now I feel just very kind of cleared out, you know, um, even with some purging sessions at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's all worth it. We've got some grinding going on in the background. Next card out is Relief. This is the last card I'll be pulling. And again, with this card, I feel like this card pops out a lot. The relief of being able to kind of weed out the field, because this makes me think of like either it's pitchforks or it's like, the things that you use to kind of comb through the land, to kind of till up the earth and get some soil going. And so it's like I feel like we're working another patch of land here. Like we were working for another crop or another patch of land on, the first couple months of this, and now we're working on another section of land, another little plot of land here, and working on that. And perhaps we're seeing some other things being unearthed, perhaps seeing little different weeds, little bugs and critters kind of pop up. But all in all, it's like we're getting the flow of it, we're getting the rhythm. It's becoming more and more of a pattern that we're accustomed to and that we're able to navigate, and it gets a little bit easier each time. It becomes a little more subtle. The more that you do the work, the more that you pay attention, the more responsive you are, and tap into that feminine energy. Just being able to get out of your way sometimes and not take as much action, and just be able to listen, because that's another essential part of communication, is the being able to listen. Being able to receive what transmissions are being sent your way, where they're being sent from, and then proceeding, with your response accordingly. And so we're learning how to operate with a little more nuance, with a little more flow, with a little more movement, and moving away from this more regimented, blocky, rocky, black and white, high contrast, heightened dramatic duality experience, into something that has more depth, more shades, more, richness to it, a masterpiece, a renaissance. Friends and I joke about, the renaissance that's going to come after this, all of the beautiful art and creativity. And part of that is being receptive, is having a sense of self within a shifting world, and being able to capture that without being captured by it. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to witness everyone's, evolvement, I'm making up words now, but, and my own too. So if you have any comments, or if there's anything you picked up from this reading, I would love to hear about it. I'm gonna go before they continue to do this yard work next door and do all this grinding in the background. I feel like that is very significant too, but I'm not gonna go into it at this time. But yeah, look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you all for watching. And feel free to book a service with me sometime. I do one-on-one coaching, as well as I read tarot through Modern Mystic on Fridays, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you have any questions about anything else, just let me know. Bye.